Hi, and welcome to Financial Planning Explained. I'm your host, Mike Menninger, certified financial planner, founder and owner of Menninger and Associates Financial Planning. I am really excited this week to present our guest. We're going to be talking about a lot of different issues that discuss financial planning. What I have today is I have Stacy Francis, who owns Francis Financial in New York, who has a really long resume, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And so she is on the advisory council for CNBC. She does a lot of writing for them. She's written a book, and she also started a nonprofit organization. So with no further ado, I would like to introduce Stacy. Stacy, thank you very much for joining us.
Hi there. Thank you so much, Michael. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is great.
Excited to talk about.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, if you could, Stacy. Please tell me.
What was that, Michael?
Yeah, please tell me a little bit about yourself and your firm and what you do.
Yeah, no problem. So I started a charity actually 21 years ago. I was 26, to empower women through financial education and financial literacy called Savvy Ladies. And we can definitely talk more about that because I think there are some great resources for your viewers today. In the year after, about 20 years ago, I launched my own independent fee-only financial planning firm. I'll be honest, I launched it to be able to pay for the charity because I realized that you can only do as much good work helping others as the amount of money you have to pay for, those pro bono services. So, fast forward 20 years later, Savvy Ladies is thriving. We serve about 5,000 women on a pro bono basis each year. And Francis Financial, we now have 14 financial advisors, almost all women, which is kind of unique. And we do comprehensive financial planning, divorce financial analysis, even testify in court in front of judges to help people achieve the settlement that they deserve through divorce and after.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing. And so one of the things that sparked me about having you as a guest on my show, what we do is a large overlap. We're both financial planners. And one of the things that really interested me was that your specialty is not only working with ladies, but with women who are divorced and women who are widows. And one of the things, ironically, is those are the two areas that had a softness in my heart because I felt like the need to protect them. Too many people in this world who call themselves financial advisors, I would say shamefully, care more about the chair that they sit in than the one across the table. And unfortunately, with widows and divorcees, they're vulnerable. And so that's what really captured my heart about what you do. There's so many different things that go into it. Would you like to please share what you see as the most important things that come across that you find?
Yeah, no, you really make a really good point. Most women are going to be on their own at some point in their life making their own financial decisions. Actually, 8 out of 10 of us are going to be put in that place. And more women are finding themselves having to do that on their own. And unfortunately, to your question, a lot of us are not really very well equipped to make those financial decisions. In fact, a recent study by UBS said that 82% of women actually defer to their husband to make financial decisions because they believe that they have more knowledge than they do, which might work well during the marriage, but it really does not work well if you end up getting a divorce or God forbid your spouse passes away. And so one of the most important things that I would recommend for women, and I'm sure you're on the same page, is to be involved with the finances so that you don't find yourself sitting there alone and feeling really afraid, concerned, and uninformed about what your assets and your liabilities and spending and income really looks like.
Of course. Well, one of the things too, right, wrong, or indifferent, we've lived in a very paternalistic society. So for many generations, and it's getting better with time, but you really go back 2 or 3 generations, our grandparents, the husband did it all, okay? And so therefore, if there is a divorce or death, the woman's left not knowing anything and not having done anything. So I absolutely agree. And that's why I found that to be such, because I had so many clients in both of those positions. And so that's one of the things that I try to do. One of my practices, I try really hard to educate my clients. And furthermore, oftentimes it is the husband who reaches out, but I try to get him to bring his wife in.
Yeah. Yeah. And, recognizing that, she may take in financial information differently than he does. We're all different. And, I think this the biggest piece is, active listening, being patient, slowly moving forward, and knowing that they're part of her team. And, I know there are lots of people that are listening today that work with these types of women, in different phases. And, I think the biggest piece is making sure that they have a team. And yes, that includes a financial advisor, but also making sure that she has a team, the right estate planning attorney to help her through, the next steps of probate with losing her husband, or a fantastic matrimonial attorney if she's looking at divorce. And I would say for everyone, I have a therapist and I have not gone through divorce, and I've not had to deal with the death of my spouse, but bless, I still need a therapist. And so asking, who are you talking to about this, and being able to create those help, find those resources, whether it is a therapist or it's a divorce coach or it's a grief coach. But, we can't get through this alone. We really can't. And the women who do best and move forward most financially confident and capable and secure are those who really have put together that team.
Right. Well, thankfully, I don't fall under the one category of being a surviving spouse, but unfortunately, I did go through a divorce, and just having seen what I went through and having observed many of my clients, there are plenty of counseling, group counseling, grief counseling. That, I believe, above and beyond anything else, is probably the most important thing to do, because it can be overwhelming and totally consuming of your life when you're going through that grief. And so that is certainly something that I recommend. And they need to surround themselves by positive people. And that goes with everybody, but certainly them.
Michael, I totally agree with you. And, a lot of times people will call it brain fog. And it is really true. I know I've had brain fog, when my mother passed away. I, to be honest, couldn't quite think straight for a couple months. And, that's true for anyone who's going through trauma. And then, just put COVID on top of that. Those of us who have had COVID and are having long-term effects of COVID, it really can be difficult. It really can be difficult to go forward and deal with this just morass of financial information and the tsunami of financial decisions that you now have to make.
Of course. Well, you reference in some of your writings that there are 3 to-dos. Once a woman is grieving, there still needs to be some of these to-dos. Please share.
Yeah, no, the first thing is to really get a handle on your finances. And so creating a listing of all of the assets. So your checking account, savings accounts, retirement accounts, brokerage or non-retirement accounts, as well as, the value of your home, any other items that might have value. And then your debts. That's really important, whether it's a mortgage, a lease on a car, an auto loan, credit card debt, so that you have a really clear view of what that looks like. Also, income is really important. And for the vast majority of women, after a divorce and after losing a spouse, their income goes down. And for some, it can go down by as much as 30% on average. So that's something really to look at, of understanding what is my new income. If I'm no longer getting his pension or his Social Security, what does that look like for me? And the third step is really having a clear view about what your spending is now, and what your spending is going to look like in the future, because it will change when you go through a divorce, when you are now on your own. Yes, some of your spending items will go down, such as maybe eating out, since you're doing that for one person versus two. But there are a lot of other expenses that might go up. And being able to create that budget is really important. A couple great resources to help you just get track of what you're spending now. If you go to mint.com, a great resource, free of charge, Personal Capital as well. And you can link it to your credit cards, downloads all that information, and then you can start to categorize it. It's kind of a quick and dirty way to get a good view of what that spending really is.
It really is. And we actually recommend the same. We have a comparable program similar to mint.com. I'm sure you've heard of EMoney. We use it for the same purpose with our clients. I'm sure you do too. Now, you reference all the to-dos. I do know that I'm sure with it come the to-don'ts. And I have one off the top of my head.
The to-dos.
Right, exactly. And I suspect you probably have the same to-don't, but share with me what your to-don'ts are.
Yeah, the number one thing I would say is don't make any big life-changing decisions right after your divorce or after your spouse passes away. I've seen mistakes where a client of ours will decide to go live with her daughter in Colorado, and it turns out disastrous for both of them. So give yourself some time and space just to keep things, as is,
right,
before you make any big changes. That would be, I'd say, the number one thing.
Well, yeah, you don't want to make big changes because you already just dealt with a gigantic change in the loss. So you changed the circumstances, and now all of a sudden you may feel alone. You lost some of your support system, whether it be your friends, the local places that you're familiar with going to, your church, whatever it might be. You lose all that, and it just creates that much more stress. So one of the mistakes that I found, and I've seen it a lot, is that for the first time they have money. And whether it's they have control over money or they actually have money, whether it be through now all of a sudden they have their spouse's retirement, they have the life insurance, and they don't know how to manage it. And unfortunately, I've seen this way too many times that the spending spree starts immediately. Do you have any recommendations to prevent that? Have you seen that before yourself?
Yeah, it's interesting. The technical term is a windfall, which, for most women, this money is, a very poor prize for getting divorced, right? Or, what they receive in life insurance money from their spouse's death, they'd rather, give usually every dollar back and have their spouse back.
Of course.
So one of the biggest challenges with this, I 100% agree, it's not necessarily having a whole lot of experience managing the finances, although, some women do. But there's the other piece that is really important to recognize is that this money is emotional. And I've seen women go through life insurance money because it feels tainted, it feels dirty. They are struggling that it's in their bank account and they don't have their spouse to, any longer. It's kind of like your spouse dies, so here you go, this is what you get. And it can cause a lot of challenges, whether some women overspend it to just get rid of what they consider as this painful part of their finances, the life insurance money or the settlement from their divorce, and others have a hard time spending any of it because any dollar that they spend is either a memory of their spouse while they were living, or the pain of the divorce that they went through. And so I think just recognizing that that we all have emotions around money, and that's normal, but we want to start to get to the bottom of them to try and give ourselves the healthiest relationship we possibly could have.
Absolutely, I agree. Stacy, we're going to be taking a short break, so please stay tuned. We'll be back with you in just a few moments.
Have you saved enough for retirement? Are you financially prepared for an emergency or unexpected event? Have you thought about your financial future?
Hi, I'm Mike Menninger, founder of Menninger & Associates Financial Planning. For over 20 years, we have been answering our clients' questions just like these as we develop unique and comprehensive financial plans tailored to meet their needs. When addressing your financial plan, we incorporate your entire financial picture, including taxes, estate planning, as well as investment planning and retirement planning. So call us today for a complimentary, no obligation consultation.
A unique approach to financial planning.
Welcome back to Financial Planning Explained. I'm your host, Mike Menninger, certified financial planner. And I have my guest today, Stacy Francis, owner of Francis Financial in New York. And during the first segment, we were talking about the impact on women, and specifically divorcees and widows. What I'd like to do is pick up more now and talk about Savvy Ladies. This is the nonprofit organization that Stacy established 21 years ago. Tell us more about it, Stacy, please.
Well, thank you, Mike. So Savvy Ladies is actually a love letter to one of the most dearest people in my life, my grandmother. And she's the reason why I actually joined this field, also why I launched a charity in her name. I grew up watching her be abused, both emotionally in front of me and then also, unfortunately, physically. And it didn't matter how many times we asked her to leave, come live with us. She never left. And I finally was able to have a conversation with her before she passed away, and she shared that she felt financially trapped, and that's what was keeping her there. And, unfortunately, the situation became deadly. She actually passed away from the abuse, and it's one of the most devastating things to lose someone you love and yet feel like you couldn't save them, you couldn't help them. And Savvy Ladies is my way of trying to make things better for other women who either are in that type of a situation, or women who are just, graduating college and starting their 401k and deciding, should I invest in my 401k or pay down my student loans, or a woman who is nearing retirement, so that no one ever finds themselves back into a corner, feeling financially trapped into any situation, whether that's a marriage, a job, a place where they live and maybe don't feel safe. Making sure that women have financial options and that they can feel safe and they can feel secure.
Well, that's a very important word that I picked up during the course of that explanation, was safe. It gives the woman the ability to feel safe with talking about it. It's a terrific story, although it's a sad story as it pertains to your grandmother, but sometimes sad stories can provide the appropriate inspiration to forge ahead and do a wonderful thing, and I'm delighted to hear. So you have a lot of people calling. I was looking at some of your stats, but I'd fail it miserably. So please, 600 calls in a month, is it?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. So Savvy Ladies, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we work with women all over the country, whether you have a dollar in your pocket or you don't. In addition to, we have about 50 live workshops and seminars, financial literacy programs each year, and hundreds of TED Talk like finance videos on our website. But our key resource that I'm most proud of is what you talk about, and that is our financial helpline. And we have over 150 volunteers. Most of them are certified financial planners, financial coaches, divorce financial analysts, accountants, pretty much anyone that you would need to get your financial questions answered. And you could go on our website, you can call us, you can email, and we actually match you with a financial expert where you get to work one-on-one for an hour together, which is, for people, it's absolutely priceless. And it's a wonderful, wonderful resource. But you're right, Mike, we've seen a 400% increase since COVID has hit. And that is very sad because women have been disproportionately negatively impacted by COVID. But the positive is that is also because we've done a really good job getting the word out there about Savvy Ladies as a resource too. And so we're just so excited to be able to serve those women and to be able to make a difference.
I think that's fantastic. So how do people get a hold of it? Is it a phone number? Is it through the website?
A great resource. You can just go to the website. It's savvyladies.org. And don't forget, Savvy has 2 V's, and it is a .org because it's a nonprofit. So if you go to savvyladies.org, you can get information on the live webinars, look at all of the TED Talk videos that we've had recorded, a link right on the homepage. You can look at the helpline, and literally your query goes in and it takes about 5 minutes of your time. We just want to know what's your most important questions, when are you available, and then we hand match you with the perfect expert to help you.
Perfect.
And we actually have a full-time person who manages the helpline, and it is a full-time job.
I can imagine. And it's not just for women in distress, although those are the ones who probably need it the most, but you pointed out that it could be for ladies who just graduated college, not sure, 401k, debt, or saving, or it provides guidance. And we try to do the same thing, obviously, for our clients, but it's nice to be able to know that there's a safe environment with which they can call. And divorce is probably one of the scariest ones, because you're afraid to pick up the phone, you're cornered, kind of like what you had implied with your grandmother.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, Mike. About a third of the women who are calling are either thinking about going through or after divorce and have a lot of important financial questions. So we have dozens of certified divorce financial analyst experts. I'm actually one of them. And, helping them look at settlement A versus settlement B, figuring out the right answers. And, some of these women are in a really tough financially strapped position, but some of them are going to walk away with a settlement of, $5 million, which you might think, like, why should she be calling Savvy Ladies? Well, we help her too, because she may have to, decide that she needs to sell one house or whatever that looks like. And, my commitment is to help every woman. My grandmother, they were middle class. They had money. And so she really struggled because she had nowhere to go. Right. Of course, she could have gone somewhere because of the abuse, but she didn't want to admit that was going on. And so she had no real resources to start to take control of the money and get more empowered and increase her financial capabilities. And that's what Savvy Ladies is about. Again, we do not discriminate against anyone who comes to us, whether you have money or you do not. We are here to support you.
I think that's just a wonderful, wonderful cause. I understand you wrote a couple books too.
Yes, so I have a couple books. You can go to www.francisfinancial.com to take a look at them if you like. There's one there for women going through divorce, and then there's another that I just wrote called Financial Help for Widows. It's a complete resource guide, and you can go right on the website, right on the homepage, you'll see that, and click on it, and we'll send you a copy. Just put in your information, and then we'll send that to you. It's a really helpful resource with checklists about what you need to be doing, what you need to be thinking about. And we also interview women who have walked this path before, and they share their experience as a widow with their journey, giving you real insight into how to navigate this
Right.
in the most healthy, financially sound way possible.
Exactly. And I think we both know doing what we do in our careers is being able to share other people's stories, help provide comfort to our particular clients, because no one is ever the first to go through something. This has happened many times before. Stacy, I wish to thank you very, very much. You are an absolutely wonderful guest. I would like, if you could, take a moment, and I know you kind of talked through, hopefully we have a screenshot. Tell me how people can get a hold of you and or Savvy Ladies, please.
Yeah, no problem. So Savvy Ladies is for everyone. It's www.savvyladies.org. Again, hundreds of great resources on that website for everyone. And for typically, high asset, high net worth individuals, they come to us through Francis Financial, where we do financial planning and investment management, similar to you, Mike. And you can get me at www.francisfinancial.com, or just email me, Stacy, STACY, at francisfinancial.com.
Well, it's good that your name is up there, because it makes it easy. If somebody says Francis Financial, they know how to spell it. Stacy, again, I cannot thank you enough. And to all of our viewers, I hope that you learned something about this. This is a very, very important topic. Working with widows, working with divorcees, and just women in general. And all the different areas of financial planning, it all comes down to nobody ever plans to fail, they fail to plan. And as Stacy pointed out, the hardest thing in the world to do is to pick up that 100-pound phone. So never be afraid to reach out to someone with whom you can trust. And if you fall under someone, please reach out to Savvy Ladies. It sounds like an absolutely a terrific place to go. And I didn't know about it until today, and I think this is absolutely terrific. You're an inspiration, Stacy, and I thank you for all that you do and all that you've done for every person who you've served before. So I wish to thank again everybody for joining me on my show today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Once again, it's Financial Planning Explained, and I'm your host, Mike Menninger, Certified Financial Planner. You have a wonderful week. Thank you.